stories into different magazines. And at times they would send back and say, well, we're not using it now, but they might use it later. Of course, I don't think that ever happened because I never got residuals or anything. But when I read this book and I thought, man, this lady had this book self-published. I mean, she paid to have it done, but it was reaching people with a message. Now, whether the message is a sci-fi story or whether it was, now this was, spiritual or religious, and it fed me. So I got a lot out of this book that this lady put money into for other people to read. Of course, she wasn't giving them away, so she was making a little bit of money back. But, that was my experience. And I actually went to her publisher, which at that time was Zulon Press out of Florida, and to find out, what exactly self-publishing was. And so I read all their stuff, and that was where I published my first book, which now Reader's Magnet, yay, has rebranded that book. See, I don't know if you can see it right there, but they rebranded it with a new cover and everything. So it looks really good. And they're also doing marketing for it. So, of course, it costs me money on the end, but the more you can get your book out there, the better you are. So now that's my story of how I was introduced to self-publishing. How about you guys?
Well, I can tell you my story of how I
Wonderful.
got introduced to self-publishing. And actually, I published 2 books now. One is Grace During a Pandemic.
Ah, good.
The other one is Girl, What Do You See? And I don't know if you can see it. But, I wasn't thinking about writing a book. The first one that came out was Grace During a Pandemic. And I was taking care of my elderly mother who had been diagnosed with ALS in a very advanced stage. And, it was during the pandemic. So it was kind of my experience being a caregiver and dealing with the pandemic and people coming into my house, et cetera. And, how God got me through it because it was a challenging time. So that was the first book that I published. And I happened to be in her room one day and I saw an ad on TBN for Trilogy Publishing. And so I didn't even realize it was self-publishing, but, I reached out, they liked my manuscript. They helped me to get it out there on Amazon. So that was my first experience. But then I had another idea because I'm also a certified life, career, and executive coach. And I wanted to inspire young girls to think about their careers, early in life. So that way, there are a lot of us who, what are we going to be when we grow up? We all struggle with that question. So that's what the second book is about that I also got self-published, which is about a little girl who's being told she should become a doctor or a teacher or, whatever her parents or peers think, but has a love of cooking and decides that she's going to pursue that with a passion to have a TV cooking show. So that was the second one. So I've had a good experience self-publishing, but I haven't done marketing. So I actually just signed a contract yesterday with Reader's Magnet to do some marketing for me because I haven't had the time. So I'm thrilled to be part of this group today. So thank you.
Excellent. That's a great story. Yeah, really. Well, Kimmy, how about you? You have any experience with self-publishing?
No.
No? Is there anything you'd like to know?
I'm definitely here to learn because I have not self-published. Zulon published this book that's out now.
Okay.
And I became an author by default. So
wow. Well, that's interesting. How did that happen?
Yeah, you want to tell us about it?
Yes. When my baby boy was still with us, but just slowly fading, I had started writing. And I didn't finish the book until after he died. So it really, and then I after I wrote it, I'm like, I don't know. It took 8 years.
Wow.
For me to even publish it because I didn't look at myself as an author. I still sometimes wonder if that's what I really am. But anyway, yeah, so then when I got it out there, I'm like, oh, wow. And so then now God has birthed more out of me. And so now I'm almost done with my second book.
Good.
Which, yeah, so That's how it all began. But I just was writing my story while he was still alive. And it just went from there. And so, yeah, it was just, I would have never imagined.
How old was your boy
How
when he passed?
He was 43 days old.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, that's why I named it my book 43 Days.
43
But yeah,
days.
that's how it all began. So now, but now I'm so full, I'm like still writing, like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, God, is that what, here it is, here's the result. So yes, that's how I got started.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can't imagine how many lives you're going to touch by that story. There's so many
Yes.
people that are hurting that go through those things that they feel like they're all by themselves. And
Yes.
somebody's going to get a hold of that, and it's going to minister to them and know that they're not by themselves. That's awesome, Kimmy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna have to read it. I'm just, it's stirring me just to even hear about it.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Thank
Yep.
you.
And I'm a father myself, Kimmy. So
Mhm.
man, I know how that feels, because I actually wanted to ask you, did you prepare like some sort of like first few books that you were gonna read for your son, and all of that good stuff? Because to be honest with all of you, I I just recently migrated to the US, and recently also been a father, and I've never ever touched a self-published book until I became a father, right? And there's a lot of children's books that Bobbie's included,
Thank
um,
you.
that that are that are very engaging for me, right? I learn a lot from these books, and hopefully my son will remember, right? Remember
Yeah.
the nights or even the days that we spend time reading those books. So look who's yawning now. I don't know, Bobbie, if you're very familiar with it, but she's our co-author, Nikki Geigert, and
Okay.
that book, for some reason, and I'm trying to look for it, but I think it's in my son's room, has resonated with him because of the yawning animals, right? And it's a
Yes.
self-published children's book, and there's really a lot of
Yeah.
choices, especially when you go to the self-publishing
Mm-hmm.
section,
Yeah.
if I may. Right. How about the others? Um, I think we haven't heard from uh, Wilkinson. Yeah.
Wilkinson. Yeah.
Hi, Wilkinson.
Hi, everyone. I was just I'm hearing both John and Bobbie very low, or maybe I didn't hear you guys at all. I had to rejoin, and
Okay.
now I can just hear both of you, maybe just a little.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and hopefully everyone else can hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
Hear you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly.
Okay. Well, my name is Wilkinson Francois. It's written on my screen here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I put in the chat already that I wouldn't know all the books that I've read, whether they were self-published or not. And myself, I've gone through a series of writing the book, or the chapters for my new book, and I've actually had a third party help me on publishing, and I'm kind of like going
Good.
through the loops of learning how to self-publish myself as well, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a tech guy, so I'm
Oh.
learning. Like there's a lot of formatting, a lot of things got to get done,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm learning as well. So, but my book had already been published within the last 10 days. Um, so it's out on Amazon. I don't know if you guys can see it. So, are
See.
we
We
allowed to
can.
talk about the title?
Yes, absolutely. Judge when
Absolutely.
I
If you
see
can read
one.
it.
Yes, judge when I
Um,
see one. What's it about?
yeah, yep. So, and it's written by me, so Wilkinson Francois. So it's hot on Amazon. I'm not sure what else you guys will talk about, but that's all there is to it as far as my story. So, I I I was a military guy. I've been on IT for a very long time, and what motivated me to have written my book, it took my broken marriage going through the family court system, into which I talked about in that book. And there's a lot in it for everyone. Um, to learn about the the court system itself, and how you can navigate through, and a lot of other people, especially parents, or I should say fathers, who are affected by this whole process when it comes down to divorce or whatnot. So, and that's all there is to it. Hopefully I get to hear more of you guys about your books. Thanks.
Well, Wilkerson, let me ask you a question. In your book, do you speak of recovery, like how you were able to, make it through that, and maybe to help somebody else, that when they read that, they'll be going, man, I understand that. So now you've kind of paved the way for them to see that there is like light at the end of the tunnel. Is that do you find that in your book?
That is a very good question. So part of what I talk about is how the process itself. Well, the title speaks for itself. So if we all know about deadbeat moms or deadbeat dads, so it's usually a judge that sits on top of a case,
Yeah.
and that's just there to actually make these people deadbeats. So that was kind of like the idea of how I came up with the title itself. So that is a very good question that you asked. How am I able to recover from any of it? It's a brutal. It is a struggle, like an ending and an unending struggle, I should say,
Like
because
a
you
process.
constantly have the courthouse that's constantly tracking you down, and wanting to see where you are at, whether you're paying your child support, or whether you have to appear in court. So that's one of those things that every parent or anyone that's involved actually have to go through. So again, it's I don't see an end to any of it, except just as I've learned about how the system is actually structured.
Yeah.
And this is one of the issues that people have to really pay attention to, is what we call the administrative state. I'm sure some of you may have heard maybe the bureaucratic state. So it is there, and politicians have to get involved to really understand. And a lot of them that you hear from is that they don't know how to fix it. Even judges themselves, they don't know how to fix this whole mess that's been created since this whole administrative state that's been put in place for over a century now, I should say.
Yeah.
So then that's where the problem lies, is because everything is structured into the laws that's been put in place by politicians, into which affects this whole family court system.
Okay, so if somebody's looking for your book, they can find it on Amazon. They can
Yes,
find your book on Amazon.
And pretty soon on Barnes and Noble.
Excellent.
People will be able to find it. Again, I'm learning about this whole self-publishing process myself, so hopefully I can upload it on other distribution centers and stuff. So, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, very good.
Yeah. I think someone just joined. Bobbie, Angelo.
Oh, Angelo. Yes.
Power on. Bluetooth pairing.
One of the things that I wanted to ask you guys, and because this is a big thing for me with self-publishing, is now I wrote The Sounds at River's Edge that Reader's Magnet just rebranded back in 2007, but they've rebranded it now in 2022. And so that book kind of laid there for, that's the one. Thank you, John. Anyways, it kind of laid there for like all those years. I was hoping to get it done right before my mom passed, but it didn't quite happen. But anyways, I found that the self-publishing is not as hard as the marketing. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of the thing, but when you have to realize that your book is you and that you actually are the brand you're selling. If this self-publishing, if you don't believe in yourself enough to self-publish, I think that's where a lot of people, they're like, well, who's going to want to read my book? Why should I do it? But if you got a story to tell, oh my gosh, tell your story. Because even if it's one person, what if one person their life was changed because of the story that you told? We're supposed to be the hands and feet of God, and his mouth. Unfortunately, we use our mouth in a lot of ways we shouldn't. However, back to marketing, you're self-publishing, and if you're interested in self-publishing, believe in yourself. Believe in that what you have written there's some value in it. But like I said, the hardest part for me is to understand that I'm marketing me. It's like, I can market this book. I can market this book, but to actually say, well, I'm the brand, that's been real hard for me. Have any of you guys done any of the marketing side of the self-publishing? I know that which one of you said that you just signed a contract?
It's me. It's Andrea.
Okay. Andrea, okay.
Yeah, and part of it is that, I've written the books, I have them out there, but I'm a corporate executive. I'm a career and executive coach.
Yeah.
I'm married with kids. It's like there's a lot. So I just don't have the time to market. So,
Right.
I'm glad that I got connected to Reader's Magnet and that they'll be able to help me do some marketing, because for me, it's a time issue. I just can't focus on it.
Time does seem to get away from all of us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So.
And unfortunately, if I may add, time is really what you need when you market, right? Like a running ad on TV, it has to be repeated several times before it resonates to a person. It has to be played even 1,000,000 times over the radio if it's a radio ad for a person to actually hear it. And
unless it's really annoying. If it's really annoying, we all hear it immediately, because it's like, we hate those ads. All the ads I hate, I can actually sing. I know it's like, I know all the words to them. I hate those ads, but I know every single word, every song to every single one of those annoying ads. That's the best
another
marketing ever,
strategy. Yes. And I just remember the first company that I worked for here in the US. It was way back in 2007, Vonage. And, I don't know if you guys remember that, but we had the ad, and it was so annoying, but everyone just remembered us, unfortunately. I think it's still there, but that has to be, marketing is not necessarily something that we can, it's not something that we have to stop, and it's not also something that we can expect results of. It's really hard, and hard labor for all of us, and patience is really the key here.
Patience is not easy.
Exactly. If I may add, as someone who works at marketing directly, I really think that it's really gonna be time consuming, and of course, like, it would take effort. Blood, sweat, and tears, that kind of thing. Because marketing or publishing is one thing, that's a whole tedious process as well. But marketing also in general is a separate thing. You have to really focus on or take time with developing things like on social media, on email marketing, on advertisement, or in radio advertising. So it's a lot of things to process if you are a self-published author. But of course, it's really helpful for you to boost your brand in order to market your book. It's just a process like that.
Yeah. But Bobbie, I'd like to reel everyone back to, to today's topic, which is really, have we read self-published books? Because just in my list of not necessarily favorite, but in my list of movies that I've seen, there are a couple that has been, taken from the the self-published world.
Mhm.
There's, there's 50 Shades of Grey, of course. There is, my God, from the 90s, Legally Blonde was a
Mhm.
self-published book,
Oh,
Yeah.
and
There's a one. Yes.
there are several. I may have not, you know, I may not have the resources, but I think Harry Potter also
Yeah, the first one, yeah.
was
Hmm.
yes, the first one.
The very first one she published self. Hmm.
So it's very important also in this world of, gosh, if there's a billions of us in this planet, I bet there's also like millions of books being published
Absolutely.
every single year,
Yeah.
right? And it's good if we stumble upon one, but if we don't also be there to for the others to stumble upon, no one
Hmm.
will ever know that our books
True.
exist, right?
Yes.
So there you go. I just spilled the beans because I couldn't believe it. I watched the movie first, Legally Blonde, right? And when
Hmm.
I read about it, I was like, holy cow! I mean, that was a chick flick, but uh, I I enjoyed it. I I really enjoyed it, and
It was
it was
fun. Yeah.
self-published. Yeah.
Yeah.
yep.
Hmm.
Did any one of you see or Bobbie, have you watched a movie that probably was that came from a self-published book?
If I remember correct, and this is probably, I don't watch a lot of movies that are based on books if I've read the book because I've been disappointed in the characters in a lot of them. And I grew up reading C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien, and I still
Mm.
have not been able to watch The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit because I have a picture of what each one of those looks like. And I tried to watch one of them and I was like, okay, they don't look like that. So I live with my imagination, which is, really the most, but if I remember correct, the Hunt for the Red October
Ah,
originally he
Tom.
had self-published that book. Now it they could not make a movie on the Hunt for the Red October in its length because it probably would have been like Gone with the Wind. You're looking at a 3-4 hour movie. But the content that they took out of that book and into that movie, it still resonated the story. And it was such a
Yes.
good story. So that's one of the few stories I've actually, Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind. Actually, they put that very well into a book. Now, truthfully, if you really want to get into books, Dr. Seuss,
Ah,
Mr. Gazelle, his very first book was self-published
Mm.
because they didn't want
yes.
to publish his book because of his political views.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, his books were politically based, although, kids today, who cares? They don't need to know that it was politically based, that you just read the books and enjoy them, you know. But his very first book that he wrote that he published, or he had published, was self-published. And, come on, if Dr. Seuss can do it, who can't?
Yeah.
No matter how annoying the cat in the hat is. Don't invite him over.
And the green. So how about the others? Do you have probably were you able to watch a movie that came from a
Yeah.
self-published book or a TV series?
Well, back when I was younger, my favorite author was John Grisham, and he has movies from his books.
Yes. Yes.
I kept,
A
And
I
I
lot
kept,
of
like the
uh,
running
movies.
scene from The Firm.
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a prolific writer.
Oh
He was,
gosh,
yeah, very good.
And he
So,
made me
him and
appreciate
Judy Bloom.
Red Stripe.
Judy Bloom. I love those books. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
Judy
Hmm.
Bloom.
But if you really to look into it, and which I have not, but if we were probably to Google famous authors that were originally self-published, I think we might all be surprised to find out, because you have to start somewhere. and
Yes.
and self-publishing is a great platform to bounce off of. It's like going to a swimming pool and no diving board, but now you've got this diving board called self-publishing that you're able to at least jump into the pool. And you never know whose hands your books are going to get into, that maybe, you may never be one of those authors. I may never be one of those authors. It's not one of my goals to to be rich being an author. I just want to get my stories out. I want to affect people's lives. And that's what you're self-publishing. You got a story to tell, and there's people that want to hear it. And the nice thing is getting that book into their hands. I don't know if you guys have, I know, Kimmy, you said you've got a second book that you're working on now.
Yes. So let's see, they're going to end with the chapter that I stopped at, which would be chapter 8, or I'm trying to see if the Lord is going to give me chapter 9. He hasn't got back with me yet.
Yeah. Patience.
Yeah.
Patience.
Yeah, I have to wait till he gives it to me, which sometimes happens in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes, but yeah, absolutely. I keep a notepad next to my bed, and if I wake up, it's like, oh yeah, gotta write that down. It's just, do it.
Yep. And I have an author that has a notepad in every single bathroom and restroom that he has in his house.
Yeah.
Because the ideas also come in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Lord also makes us.
I've found that my cell phone, I've been using the feature of the notes on my cell phone.
Me
because
too.
What happens is if it's in the middle of the night, I don't want to turn on the light and wake up my husband. So at least if I have the cell phone, I can type the note on the cell phone and all's well. So that's been what I've resorted to lately.
That's a great idea, truthfully. I never thought about that next to my bed. Yeah.
Yes, I have. I've done that too.
Mm-hmm.
And then it connects to your laptop,
Absolutely.
and when you have the notes there, you can just cut and paste and then
exactly.
right away, right?
Yeah.
Bingo.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right. Didn't we have somebody else come on that was it Angela? Is she still not on anymore, or did she? I've not heard anything.
Yeah, I don't think it was just maybe a fair goer, but
okay. All right.
Yes.
All right, just I didn't want to miss anybody.
Yeah, that's all good, and that's perfectly understandable as well, because we have maybe live. I mean, we may be having participants or fairgoers drop in and out of the session, which is perfectly fine because we understand the traffic as well. Because there are also booth sessions that are live.
Oh yeah.
They might be going from platform to platform, links to links. Yes, hopping into links.
Yeah.
Which is perfectly all right for the traffic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's a lot of good stuff. Like the roundtables. I know I missed the 11 o'clock session this morning, but I'm hoping to get to the one tomorrow. So
yes,
because earlier session actually was about the use of social media, and connecting with your audience, and we had that session with a few authors as well, and it was a good run. And this session actually is
Yeah, and I want to leverage on that, Lourdes, because as self-published authors, you cannot get. I mean, this is as real as it can get, guys, right? I mean, and in the advent of social media, everyone wants, and reality TV, sadly, everyone wants it real, everyone wants it fresh, and everyone wants it, straight from the horse's mouth. And when you self-publish, it's not it is edited, but it's not really staged, if I may, Bobbie. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
And I'm just putting the two topics together because we were talking about social media earlier, and such a wonderful time to be a self-published author, because there is that not only affordable but a very smart way to market your books. Because back in the day when social media was not here, the self-published authors had to really scramble into these book fairs and into these events that were very very expensive, right? And
That's right.
unlike now, if you're self-published and you start your own social media platforms or your accounts in social media, you can really get the ball rolling somehow, right?
Yeah.
And you know, at the end of the day, if we think about why we wrote the book, like you, Bobbie, there are other or 100 other authors or 1,000 other authors that would want to leave their legacy instead of just making money out of their book,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So maybe we can go around the table and talk about your social media platforms and how it really helped you as a writer,
Power on.
probably, you know,
Bluetooth
getting
pairing.
inspired for another chapter or two, or perhaps marketing your book. You want to start, Bobbie?
Sure. There's actually on Facebook, there's a wonderful place called Marketplace.
Yeah.
And I haven't utilized it with my book, and I don't know why I haven't, but there's a place called Marketplace, and you can go and there's different categories, and you can actually go to that category and you can put your book, which I think I'm going to have to do after we get through with this session. But you can
Sure.
put your book, you can put whatever you want on there. You can put your contact information. I have a website. You can put your website information on there for people to contact you. There's all kinds of different ways you can do it. And besides having, people will say, oh, Facebook is a horrible thing, but it depends on, number one, if who you're following, as to what kind of feedback you get. But when you go on Marketplace, or if you set up an extras, like I've got a different page on there called The Sounds of Life. And because I've got the book The Sounds of River's Edge, so I have this one called Sounds of Life. And sometimes I've put on there the last time, the Festival of Storytellers 2. I put several of the interviews and stuff that we had. I posted those there. I've had people comment there. I've sold books through that. People comment back and forth in private messaging. But this Marketplace, the reason I mention that is because it's actually a legal, you don't have to have a business license for it. You don't have to be a business. You just have to be you and
Yeah.
put your product. It doesn't matter if you're selling rubber bands. You can put that on there, and people will contact you and say, well, how can I get this? And it's a great
Yes.
platform, and just leave it public. Don't make it private, do public, because that's who you want to reach, is the public. Your friends know you wrote a book, or they should know you wrote a book, but you want to make this a public domain that it goes forth. So take advantage of those things. And I've got my Facebook is connected to Instagram, so I also get feedback from Instagram. And I don't do Twitter, and I did do Twitter, but I gave that up because it got really messy. Anyways, but I don't do Twitter, don't do Snapchat, I don't do, what's one of the other ones? Anyway, a TikTok. I don't do the TikTok. Maybe I ought to. But anyways, it gets out there and people will see your product, and they can connect with you on a level that you couldn't do otherwise without the social media. It's a wonderful thing because everybody uses it. Okay, there might be a million people in the world that don't know anything about Facebook, which you'd think that's actually, there's a whole lot more. But
Yeah.
anyways, utilize those things. Go on there, Facebook Marketplace. It's available to anyone and everyone. Just
Yes.
be cautious, don't make sure you get your money before people send you your book or send your books out, because if you send your book out, you may never see it. So that's just, I'd be right up front, and have an account. I use Swipe because you can do the thing right in there, and it charges you just a little bit, but you still get the money from it. It's your book, and Swipe is really cheap. So,
Or you
but
can go to
anyways, yes.
Staples or
Yeah,
Office Depot,
Staples.
right?
Yeah,
And you
absolutely.
can purchase a square.
Yes, a
How
square.
about you, Kimmy? Do you use social media for your book?
Yes, I have a memory page in my boys'
Cool.
memory, Chance's Corner.
Oh.
And I have my book on there. I use my personal Facebook page too, but mostly Chance's Corner. And then I use TikTok.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't have an Instagram or Twitter. But the
Tell us
Facebook
more about the
Marketplace.
TikTok.
Yeah, tell us about TikTok. I don't understand it that much.
So I just learned it. Okay, so my nephew is the one that taught me how to do it. So you just literally, like, you can put your pictures of your book or whatever, and like make a video. You can pick your own music. So I have, like, I think total 3
cool
TikTok bits. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to get good. But yeah, I just learned it like probably last month.
Wow.
Maybe
Okay.
last month. Yeah,
Nice.
because the very first one, I think he did it for me. So yeah, but I'm trying to get good at it. I just had to like not breathe and like focus and yeah. But anyway, it's kind of fun. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, TikTok, yeah. I don't know if I'll get a Twitter. I don't know if I'll get a Instagram, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How about you,
Cool.
Andrea?
Yeah, so I'm fascinated, and thank you, Bobbie, for telling me about using Facebook Marketplace, because when I published the book, I put
Mm-hmm.
it out there to my Facebook network, I put it on my LinkedIn network, but I
Oh yeah, I've
haven't
got LinkedIn
really,
too.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done anything really else with it. So I'm, listening and absorbing and hearing what you're saying about Facebook Marketplace. So I'm going to try that for sure. And then
Good deal.
also, I've not ventured onto TikTok, so thank you. Um,
I'm gonna have to try it now, Kimmy.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's kind of fun.
I have an Instagram page for my coaching business, and I've posted the book on there, and I have a Facebook page for my coaching business, and again, I've
Mm-hmm.
posted the book, but I haven't really pushed it any further, and that's where this marketing support is going to help me, because I haven't really taken it to the next step.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. And you have to, right? It's these platforms are there for a reason, and it just cannot be Zuckerberg and whoever owns these other platforms
Right.
that will
Mm-hmm.
actually earn. So pro tip, let's have let's have let's have all you ladies and gentlemen always think about CTA. All right. And what
CTA.
does CTA stand for? That stands for call to action.
Mhm.
Ah,
Okay.
CTA.
So yeah, every time you post, uh, of course, it has to be as real as it can get, right? Or as real as you can make it. But in your caption or wherever, there has to be that call to action where you lead your viewers or the folks that will stumble upon
Mm-hmm.
um, to your website, to your LinkedIn account, or to
Right.
somewhere that they actually can purchase your book, or better yet, get to know you as a brand
Mm-hmm.
better.
If I
Okay,
may
so
add, yes,
yeah,
call to
whether it's on
actions.
TikTok, go ahead, Lourdes.
Yes, as Sir John was saying, of course, call to actions are really, really important in all social media posts or even in
Mm-hmm.
emails. That is what the audience or your receiver would get out of your message. So it's basically it's what it is, a call to action. It makes
Mm-hmm.
your receiver do something. And if I may add, by the way, in this session we actually have Janice, just in the call. If you can turn your camera on for us, please.
Hi, Janice.
Yes, she wanted to join the session, but
Good deal.
and welcome
Yeah.
to the session. We actually were just getting a little bit of a side note here about social media because that was
Mm-hmm.
our topic early on the previous
Yes.
session, and this was stemmed with the idea of having a self-published book or reading a self-published book and then actually marketing it, and those whole
Mm-hmm.
process went through the idea of social media being a platform for marketing.
Yeah. How about
And
you,
Andrea,
Wilkinson? Oh,
Andrea,
sorry,
thank you
sorry. Go
for
ahead.
that. I was going to say thank you, Andrea, for the. I couldn't even think about LinkedIn because I've got LinkedIn, and
Mhm.
I don't use it for that. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm missing out on that. So that's another thing I'm going to have to, between what Kimmy and TikTok, and maybe I'll do a
Yeah.
dance or something going, oh, buy my book.
We're learning from each other. This is
And that's what
amazing.
it's absolutely is. John, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, look
No,
at
no,
your
no, it
boy.
was my boy.
Oh, isn't he
He's
sweet?
he's very tired from school.
Oh.
Ah,
Oh,
bless him.
Yeah. So no, but I
Well,
was gonna ask Wilkinson about his social media experience, or how
Yes.
he has, um made his self-published book be relevant or seen online.
Mm-hmm.
well, I was I did have my all of my social media accounts open, but I didn't have any content per se. While I was still writing the book. This book that I finally finished just recently. It's been two years now,
Wow.
and I've even reached the point of knowing that maybe I'm done, but I realized that I still need more content. I was looking for that effect on the book, and while I was still writing, I still had my social media. Again, I am tech savvy, so if there was anything as far as the website, I was constantly like updating it. Maybe I spent like 10 minutes of just getting a snippet of code and put it on the website and then get it going. And as of earlier today, I've learned something about doing a live stream with YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You could
And
literally
that's
put
and
on
we
your
are live now on YouTube.
Yeah.
right. Something like that. That's what inspired me. I realized I said, "Hey, wait a minute! I could do something like that on my website when I
Yeah.
have a session every Sunday. Maybe I'm not sure yet, but that's and I can live stream you website and people can click on it and see what we're talking about. And I put on there
Mm-hmm.
every Sunday. Let's meet. So that would be
Good.
a feed. So just using your YouTube stuff and you connect it into your website and you go into YouTube and you do all of this stuff. So that's what I've been doing. Again, on top of all of the accounts that I have out there, but I never really had time to put content. So now that I do, so I will continue to work. Um, it's it's really taking a toll on me.
Yeah.
It can, and that's another idea there, ladies. This gentleman just shared, or Wilkinson just shared, going live, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not you have viewers at the time that you're live, it doesn't matter, because it's gonna stay in your page, and people will can
Right.
just scour if you have the
Mm-hmm.
right call to action, if you have the right hashtags, if I may
Mm-hmm.
also introduce that thought, Bobbie. And really,
Yeah.
in
That's a
social
big thing.
media, it
The
is.
hashtags,
It is.
that's a real big thing. Because I had my stuff out there, but I didn't have many hashtags. So a lot of people weren't getting hit with it because it wouldn't be going to the areas that they're personally looking at. So when you
Correct.
find the right things that would correlate with your subject and what, then people are on there looking for different things, and then it automatically comes up, there's your book. And they're like, oh, that should be interesting. At least I
Yeah.
hope.
I mean, we always hope, right? Until, and
Absolutely.
we never lose hope, because once we do, we just go back to the very reason why
Right.
we wrote the book, right?
That's right. That's right.
Am I being a good co-host to you, Bobbie?
Oh, you're wonderful. You should always be there. I'm going to call you even when
Ah,
we're not doing this just to keep you going.
oh my goodness! But we're gonna have Tribeca on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But
Yes.
I'm just I'll be there. I mean, whenever
Mm-hmm.
whenever you need me. Okay. So any more questions from your wonderful list, Bobbie?
Ooh, any more questions from my list? No, I think I've covered pretty much everything. My biggest thing was I was kind of curious as to what inspired, surely where they were inspired in the first place. I told you mine was when I found out that lady had self-published with Zulon Press, and I was like, wow, you can actually do that. You can publish your own book, so that was fascinating. And then of course that's led into publishing the second book and then rebranding with you guys, and now I'm working on books 3, 4, and 5. And yes, I
Yeah.
know
So
that
we can
sounds
go.
busy, but yeah.
Yeah, we can go around the room and ask for the inspirations, right? To
Sure.
you know, Kimmy, you wanted to say something?
So let me get this straight. You're working on 3 books at once?
Yeah, well, I have issues. My issues are, if I get a brain block in one book, then I just push it
Okay.
aside for a while and then I go to the next one, where it's not. One of my books is very personally, it's actually very cathartic for me. It's almost like a healing process, because one of the books is about sexual abuse as a child. and how it
Okay.
affected and how it was resolved and things like that. So that's very a healing book, and a very, you know, dealing back with stuff 50, 60 years ago. And then the other one is very lighthearted. It's a continuation of, once again, The Sounds at River's Edge. It's going to be book 2, and it's continuing. Thank you, John. Anyways, it's continuing that, which is fun stories about growing up in South Florida with me and my sister, and me hiding crabs in her bed, and just all kinds of stuff like that. And then the third book is about finding peace in the midst of chaos. And
wow.
so if I get, you know, like been up on one, I go to the next one. It's like, okay, let's lay that one aside. And then I go over here. I also read 2 and 3 books at once. I'm so sorry. I told you I have issues. But hey, but I'm a happy camper. I have peace and joy. So what can I tell you?
Okay. I learned
Yeah.
something new today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll probably be going, oh my God, she's crazy. It's okay though. My family know I've been crazy for years.
I don't think it's crazy. I guess that helps me feel better, because even though this second book hasn't been published yet, I already have stuff coming up for a third book.
Oh, and you're not an author. Did you hear her earlier? She says, well, now I don't know if I'm an author, but now you got a third book already. Girl,
yeah,
you just need to call it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a title already, and so
see, I'm telling you,
feeling very full over here.
Good for you. I'm looking for. Actually, I'm gonna. The name. What was the name of your book? The one, the first one you wrote. You said 43 days.
Born to Live.
Oh, all right. And Andrea, what was your name of your first book was?
Sure. Yeah, and then I'll tell you about my book 3.
Okay. Oh, see, there you
go. The first one is Grace During a Pandemic. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Maybe you can hold it up near your face, Andrea, so that.
Yeah, put it. Yeah, there you go. There you go. I see
there
it. There you
go. We can see it.
Okay.
Okay. And then this one is Girl, What Do You See? It doesn't look like it's showing.
No, it's
move
even
it down
hiding
just a hair.
here.
Move it down there. Oh, okay. Yeah, right there, right there. Girl, What Do You See? All right, got that one.
And this one is a very inclusive book because it's a multiracial family. And so it not only speaks to a young girl trying to figure out what she wants in life, but also feeling good about herself coming from a multiracial background. And so I'm probably 80% done with the third book, and I'm actually talking to Reader's Magnet about potentially helping me. So
good.
And like you said, I have an idea for a fourth book, which I haven't really done much yet, but I think, you know, you kind of get these bursts of inspiration.
Absolutely.
And then you write something down when you get it. Exactly.
Notepad, with a notepad beside the bed.
Yes.
Yes. And Wilkinson, what about you? I've got your first book written down. I've got the name of that. Judge, do you see one? So do you have a second one in your psyche there? A second book?
Unfortunately, I need a break because I worked hard on my first one.
Oh, okay. I understand that, because sometimes we need to just step back a little bit. Yes, Judge, I see one. Yes. When I see one, I got that one written down too.
It's my first one. That was like within the last 10 days that I published it. So I need a mental break.
Yeah, I understand. Yep.
I get inspired by writing something. We'll see.
Very good. Very good. This has been exciting. I get to meet new authors and I get to read. Listen, I love reading. I think reading is just one of the best things ever. So I'm looking forward to reading y'all's books.
With coffee.
Oh,
yes.
Girl, I'm coming to your house.
Come on over.
Hey, just as a thing. Okay. I'm in Northeast Alabama. I live up on top of Lookout Mountain, not far from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Where are y'all from? I mean, just, you don't have to tell. I don't want your address, but you know, like nationwide, worldwide. Where are y'all from?
Queens, New York City.
Where were you originally from, John?
From the Philippines.
My doctor's
Yes.
Filipino. He's wonderful. I love him.
My wife is a nurse, so go figure, right?
Yeah.
We are we apparently excel in the healthcare
Yes.
industry.
Kimmy, where are you from?
Originally from Illinois, but I have been in Jacksonville since 2001.
Jacksonville, Florida?
Oh.
Yes.
See, when I left Florida like 30, 40 years ago, I didn't even know there was other Jacksonvilles. Oh my gosh, there's a Jacksonville, Georgia. There's a Jacksonville, Alabama. Like it's everywhere. Andrea, where are you from?
So I'm in New Jersey, but I've lived across multiple states in the US and originally from Jamaica.
Oh, cool. That's neat. They make great rum.
Yeah.
And the patties.
And the patties, yes.
I'm gonna have coffee. I'm gonna have coffee with Kimmy and rum with you. Wilkinson, what about you, buddy? Where are you from?
I think
Wilkinson?
his internet is.
I think he's frozen.
Yes, I think he's lagging.
Oh well. How about you, Lords? Where are you from?
I'm also Filipina from the Philippines. Yes, and actually quite a quick, very funny story. We are from the same hometown with John.
Yes. Well. Oh my goodness. And I mean, just a very, very quick story, because the cars parked right in front of my apartment have like our town screaming, and I was like, what are the odds, right? Like in those customized plates, and so it's weird, but hey,
that's all right.
I think Wilkinson's back. Wilkinson, Bobbie had a question for you. The IT guy's internet is the irony in life.
Yes. True.
But that's fine, right?
Yep.
Anyway.
Okay.
I'm guessing we can all wrap up. I think
good deal.
Yes.
And I think we can wrap this up by having everyone, including Bobbie, do a plug, right, about their book.
Excellent.
You know, not just very, very briefly what it is about, not to be a spoiler or not to give away anything, but just an overview of the book or books that you already have published and where they can get it, because that is the call to action. CTA.
Call to action.
Let's start with you, Kim, this time. Hey, Kimmy? Yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So my book is about child loss and how, just still being able to function through it and to continue growing in my relationship with Jesus in spite of child loss, like really leaning on him and just going on with new hopes and dreams.
That's
and
awesome.
So you can find it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, see, never stop there. You gotta continue the call to action.
Yes, and my platforms are my personal Facebook page, Kimmy Littlejohn Clark, and Chance's Corner, which is my memory page for my infants. It's Chance, CHANCZ, Chance's Corner.
Oh, yes. Okay, not Chance the Rapper. Okay.
Yes, Chance's Corner on Facebook. And I do have a TikTok, and that is under Chance's Mama.
Oh.
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right. All right.
And then let's do you, Miss Andrea.
Oh, okay. I'm up next. All right. So the first book is Grace During a Pandemic, and it's about my journey taking care of my mother during her ailing last days during the pandemic. And it's really, I talk about you might have lost a loved one, a job, a lot happened during the pandemic, but that, there is hope through all of this, and that there, you can work through it. And I think, similar to what Kimmy is saying, that, there is a light after all of this, and you can be restored. So that's really what that book is about. Anybody who's going through any type of loss. And it's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And then Girl, What Do You See is a little more light. It's about a little girl trying to figure out what she wants to be when she grows up. And, you know, through a series of events, she identifies what her talents and passions are. And I know that's a question a lot of us have. What do we want to be when we grow up? So again, available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And you can also reach me at my coaching website, which is www.acmcoachinggroup.com.
So Lourdes, let's make sure that in the caption of YouTube, it's all there, right?
Right.
Thank you.
We'll have that noted and edited on the description.
Awesome. Wilkinson, how about you? Tell us more about your book, very, you know, just very briefly, and where can we get your book?
And if you haven't seen this book, I hope you can read it.
Yes.
You can find it on Amazon now, and later it will be on Barnes and Noble. My website is up with lots of information about myself, as well as where you can hit the like button, Facebook, and you name it, all of the other social media platforms that are out there.
What is your website?
Again,
what is your website? Okay.
www.deadbeatjudge.com. It's just the name of the book, but it's showing out, deadbeatjudge.com.
All right.
You can get it from there.
Okay, good deal.
All right, but last but not the least, Bobbie.
Okay, well, I have, let's see if I can get this one up the other way. This is The Sounds at River's Edge. And you see there's a picture of a little girl and their parent. And it is true stories of growing up on the Intercoastal Waterway in South Florida when Florida was very rural before it became overly populated. And it's stories about me from 4 years old till 8 years old. My sister was 8 to 12. And the very first story is called A Leap of Faith, where I actually jump off of the top of our house with an umbrella at almost 4.5. Yeah, don't trust cartoons. Anyways, but hey, bugs did it. I could do it. It didn't work. And then the other one is, let's see if I can get that one in there. It is the first annual Duck Springs whistling contest. And this is all about trying to win a silver whistle, like the policemen have. And a little boy that his dream is to get that whistle by learning how to whistle a song. And before it happens, a bully attacks him, gets his tooth knocked out, and the story goes on from there. And then how it all evolves. So it's a story of a trial, you know, and error and all the way through, but it ends good. Don't want to, you know, blow it there, and it's available at Barnes and Noble, Amazon, my website, which is www.bobbiejmcclaren. You can get it from Reader's Magnet. You can find it all kinds of places. So, and of course, soon I'll have other books coming out. Yay!
Yay!
But it's I think every story should tell a story about making a difference. And I was listening to Wilkinson, not Wilkinson. You know, you sit there and you think, I've never been through a divorce, but well, I've seen people that have, and God bless you all. You know, the ones that have been divorced, and Kimmy, with you losing your child, and oh my gosh, Andrea, I know what it's like to lose your mom and taking care of them before they pass. Life can be hard, but you know what? Like you said, there's hope. Like you said, Kimmy, there's always hope. As long as we have Jesus Christ and God to hold on to, I mean, we'll make it. It may be hard, but we're going to make it. So
amen.
I'm excited for all of you guys. Yes.
Yes, and on that note, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Lourdes. Thank you, everyone.
Yes,
and we'll see you tomorrow, Bobbie.
Absolutely.
We'll see you tomorrow, everyone.
Absolutely.